politics, but the election is 20 days away, and polls show the economy is dominating the national consciousness. Around 80% say the economy or inflation or both will play a major role in how they cast their vote. The president wants to remind voters his team is trying to do something about it, especially as Republicans try to say it's all Democrats' fault, which is a softball for them right now, since voters tend to blame the party in power when they worry about the state of things. Now, is that fair? Probably not. The economy is extremely complicated, and people who spend decades studying it say presidents have very little control, if any at all, over immediate ebbs and flows. But nuance is hard to argue on the campaign trail. Of course, we should remind you, polls do not tell the whole story. They never do, and they haven't been all that reliable over the past few elections, which is why pollsters will warn you that there's a lot of uncertainty out there. There are big variables. What does abortion do to turnout? Voter registration in Pennsylvania and Ohio is up. What about the threats to democracy, January 6th, or a looming presidential run by former President Trump? They could all come into play, but what history tells us is that when it comes to voting, a person's pocketbook tends to be top of mind. Joining me now from the White House is NBC News digital senior White House reporter Shannon. So, Shannon, I'm going to ask this of you. This was planned. It's the last tranche, and it's coming at a notable time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Katie. And, you heard the president, and you noted there, saying that this was not political. I will say Democratic strategists and pollsters that I have been talking, that my colleagues have been talking to, they have been raising the alarm that the White House and the Democrats need to do more in these final days to show they are actively doing something to address these main concerns consumers have around inflation and the economy. They don't want to just hear the president and Democrats talking about legislation they previously have passed, because consumers are still feeling pain here in their wallets. They want to hear about what they are doing now and, or more importantly, what they're going to do over the next 2 years. And this certainly seems like an example of the White House trying to show, not just tell, what they are doing, even though, for the reasons you noted, Katie, this is not going to have a major impact on oil prices. This is a rounding error, essentially, of the amount of oil America uses in a week or a month, and it was previously planned. But here's a little bit more what the president had to say when asked about the politics of this.
What is your response to Republicans who say you are only doing this SPR release to help Democrats in the midterms?
Where have they been the last 4 months? That's my response.
Is it politically motivated, sir? This
No,
move
it's not.
3 weeks before the midterms?
Look, it makes sense. I've been doing this for how long now? It's not politically motivated at all. It's motivated to make sure that I continue to push on what I've been pushing on. We're calling it a ready and release plan. This allows us to move quickly to prevent oil price spikes and respond to international events.
Yes. So one other thing I would note going on today at the White House along this line of the president trying to talk about what he and his administration are doing to help with the economy. We expect at 3 o'clock another event talking about the infrastructure law. It is an issue that hasn't really resonated with voters, but Democrats feel they can continue to sort of score some points with voters here and there by talking about some of these specific projects that are going to be starting soon, in the coming year at least, in specific districts and states that they think could be appealing to voters.
Shannon Pettypiece at the White House. Shannon, thank you very much. Let's bring in MSNBC political analyst and former RNC chairman Michael Steele. Michael, always good to see you. The economy is a big driver at elections, and when the economy comes into question, people blame the party in power. We're seeing that right now. It's complicated, though, and it's something that I feel like we did a better job of explaining, because the economy is not subject to immediate policy changes by any administration. The economy, it takes years for policies to go into effect. So when you're trying to talk to voters about, educating them about how best to vote, how do you do it? How do you talk about nuance when nuance is so hard to digest?
Well, you do it 3, 4, 7 months out, not 3 weeks before an election, because of the very thing you just said. You've got to bring voters into the conversation. You have to help them frame and understand exactly what you announced today, how that plays out, what it means to them, what they should be looking for. What signs should they be looking for down the road to show that this is working, whether it's on infrastructure, whether it's on gas prices, whether it's on healthcare, whatever the subject is. One thing that has been stunning to watch is how Democrats apparently have all these successful policies, right? But they don't know how to talk about them. They don't know how to have that conversation. It reminds me of Republicans in the reverse frame during the Obama years and during the Trump years on Obamacare. Repeal and replace. Okay, what's the problem? We're waiting. What is it? So when the moment comes, you have no bill, you have no effort underway that would actually repeal the legislation and replace it with what? So you can see how political parties like to do the rhetorical flourishes, but they're not bringing people into the conversations because Americans aren't sitting there, completely out of the loop. They're watching, they're experiencing this real time, Katy. And I think for the president, his efforts today, while important, 3 weeks out, you don't know how at this point the voters are going to take it all in because the Republicans can make the counter argument that you just heard in the presser. So this is all politics. This really doesn't mean anything.
They are flooding the airwaves right now with ads saying the economy's terrible. Democrats are to blame. Yeah. A really simple message. I'm hoping that you can flesh that out there. How do you bring them into the conversation? What do you say? That the economy is going to go through ups and downs, but you got to hang on because this is going to be good in the long run? I mean, is that enough?
Well, it is for the very reason that you said. The president has no control over this. The Congress has no control over this. Our economy is being shaped as much by what's going on in Europe right now as it is what's going on Wall Street or what's going on Main Street. It is a very interconnected, much more than it's ever been, economic reality. And so going back to the State of the Union, when the president first started rolling out his conversation around what he wanted to do on infrastructure, how he was dealing with COVID, everybody knew at that time that the warning signs for this economy were there. We knew that there was going to be a tightening coming. So at that point, you begin to get people prepared for that. You let them know that, look, over the last 4 years, 5 years, folks, we've spent an extra $4 trillion. $2 trillion during the Trump years, $2 trillion in the beginning of my term to get us stabilized with COVID, to help those families. Imagine if we didn't put those monies into place during COVID. What do you think the economy would look like now, right? If people were unemployed for those 2 years because their bosses couldn't keep them because we didn't provide the resources for the employers to keep their employees, or for people to have that extra $2,400 or $1,600 in their bank account. That's how you make the argument. That's how you begin to bring the public into the conversation so they understand how they're connected to all of this. So then when Republicans or anybody comes out and says, well, the economy sucks, they go, nah, not really. Not as bad. Yes, we're hurting, but it's not the way you're making it seem, and you lessen the fear. And the concern. When
you look at where we are right now, 20 days away, we have polling showing the Republicans are retaking the lead. How confident are you in the numbers that are being put out that these are going to stay this way and we are going to see Republicans retaking the House?
They very well may retake the House. I think the X factor in this going into the cycle, I said it before and I'll say it again, white suburban women. That's the X factor. And that's the only group that the Republican Party is preying on, as they did in 2018, as they did in 2020, and as they're doing now. 2018, they were scaring suburban white women with caravans coming to their neighborhood. 2020, they were talking about low-income housing coming in your neighborhood. I had on this air had to say, wait a minute, we're already here. What you talking about? Black folks are already here because we know what the inference was. Now we're talking about, other things like CRT and what they're doing to your kids, and they're mixing this message to reframe the narrative for suburban white females in a way that gets them to move off of their vote in 2020 for Biden and Democrats and back onto them in 2022. The question remains for them, what do you think is going to happen come 23 with Republicans running the House?
Michael Steele, it's always good to have you. Thanks for joining us today.